So I'm just having a thought. If these documents that I signed and I got countersigned by a solicitor back in 2005, when I was 11, laying claim to the moons of Jupiter, except Io, and Uranus's moons, and of course the other two documents wherein I lay claim to the moons of Saturn and Neptune, why wouldn't I have done that? Why don't I just go for Jupiter's moons and Neptune's moons, right? So the Outer Space Treaty says that no celestial body can be sequestered or claimed by any government. So this obviously leaves a loophole open for private individuals to claim celestial bodies, and if these have validity, does that mean I can therefore, as a private individual, with the claim over that territory maintained within, as my property, right? Can I not thereafter start a government? Like a representative body with a constitution and everything else, and issuing citizenship to people and what have you, for the outer solar empire, whatever it would be, with me as the emperor, and like any kind of any heirs of mine thereafter taking up the the imperial titles and styles and crown and whatnot. They don't want to have a crown or anything like that. So I mean, particularly given the moon Titan and its future prosperity, possibly, or its future value in terms of natural resources, I think this could be a very interesting proposition indeed. And then I think of other things like Ganymede, with its underwater ocean, heated by the heat bouncing off Jupiter, and the underwater farms and cities of Ganymede in the future one day. So we build hemp thermoplastic rockets the size of skyscrapers to transport huge machines into space and start building enormous craft and living in an elegant age of space travel where we use sails and things like this. It's beautiful, I think. But yeah, and maybe it's not even that far away. Maybe it isn't. The hemp plastics, we can create them now. Why can't we make these rockets? Rockets. Oh, so on. But yeah. Can I not establish my own government? That's the thing, like get represented in the United Nations and you can create a new body, a new sort of supranational organization other than an empire. I kind of like it as more like a constitutional monarchy or a constitutional imperial organization, rather than it being republican, because if it is republican, that territory is therefore controlled by a government. Whereas if the power is divided, if there's separation of powers between the imperial line, the monarchs, and the houses representing the citizenry, then there's separation of powers, and the territory would not be controlled by a government or by any government. It would, if they said like any governments in the territory, strictly speaking, yeah, separation of powers, like be controlled by a government and an institution, or a state, or a head of state, wouldn't it? Yeah, I just like trying to figure out the thorniness of it, or there'll be a sharing of powers between governments. Yeah. So what they mean by that is like no single government could control any celestial body, and that space is obviously a commons. However, under US law, UK law, and frankly every other league precedent, or all the other precedent-setting legal systems in the West, we know that commons can be enclosed. And Yeah. Or do you overturn that decision, give back all that aristocrat land that got enclosed, and make it a commons again? Do that if you like, I suppose. Or issue redress to the people. Don't want this sort of thing to happen. I'll enclose the commons of space. Because you didn't do fuck all about it then, because corruption. And you probably won't do fuck all about this now. You have no legal basis on which to do it. And the history of colonialism is like, I think not. I don't think we listen to you or any of your representatives. How about that? Yeah, I mean, this is a good idea. I could issue all sorts of decrees and laws. Then the citizenry, i.e., the ethnography or the ethnic group that I'd end up establishing as citizens of the outer solar empire. Things like weed, obviously, make that legal. Most drugs legal, except antipsychotics and scopolamine, and like poisons will keep. Those aren't even drugs, really, but yeah, and etc. etc. And push for progressive politics. You know, using this supranational organization. That's what the empire would be, wasn't it? It'd be a supranational organization. So the empire itself wouldn't have a government. I say like the Eastern Ganymede government, the Western Ganymede government, or the Northern Ganymede organization, all subsumed under the power base of the outer solar empire. Or does no one really like the idea of living in an empire? Because if I make it a federation, then it's a government. See? Now I need to check the definition of the term government. So governments can be autocratic, can't they? I'm still though, and how we can get around this one, like a sort of constitutional basis. Government. What? I want the precise meaning of the term. Come on, you slow bitch, move. The group of people. They can't be controlled by a government. The group of people with the authority to govern a country or state, a particular ministry and office. Administration, executive, regime, authority. The system by which a state or community is governed, the action or manner of controlling or regulating a state, organization, people. That could mean that there could be a one-man government. Is there something more precise than that? Dictionary Cambridge. People, offices, departments, and governments and groups of people that govern a country, state, city, or other political unit. Okay. Well, these aren't countries as such. These pieces of territory. They're not considered countries. Government Israel. Okay, well. Oh, stupid Cambridge. Your dictionary doesn't count, and you know it. Let some fucking people use and stick to it like religion. Noun group. I know, like, the system used for controlling country, city, or group of people. The activities involved in controlling. So it does broadly agree with. This is thorny. It's difficult. I mean, can't be controlled by any government. Right. Let me think about this a bit longer. I suppose if it is controlled by several governments, or like a sharing of powers, because I do recall they use the singular, not the plural. As a commons, be preserved as a commons, like yeah, would allow people freely to move within it as kind of a commons, and like what's the sort of basis of precedent for commons in the vernacular in English currently? Like parks are commons. You know, any tourists coming, we have to have some immigration controls, obviously, like passports, etc. But yeah, like parks are commons, are commons. Tourists are obviously allowed in the parks, just like anyone else is, so they're freely able to access parks as a commons. Likewise, in much the same way, and I doubt for really rather a long time there would ever be kind of any meaningful population of humans living in orbit around Jupiter or Saturn, etc. And that it would be for rather a long time. I imagine tentative sort of research operations carrying out there, eventually probably mining operations, and maybe settlements. Well, yeah, I mean, which would be accompanied by settlements, and then sort of a populace and government. So it is kind of like sort of necessary to figure out like what sort of constitutional underpinnings like that sort of territory ought to have, and how powers can be shared and separated between, for instance, the state and the monarch, or the monarchs, and going the act of controlling territory. So like no one can have it. Like, is that like really what it means? Is that like having a private property, but I can't establish a government there? So yeah, like, okay, or outer space treaty. I've got to find this out now. Can't just do this from memory, can I? Okay. Oh, please work, you slow bastards. Come on. Article 2 of the treaty explicitly forbids any government from claiming celestial bodies such as the moon or a planet's own territory, whether by declaration, occupation, or any other means. Fine, okay. Can, yeah, an individual, I guess, can claim it hence. But that individual wouldn't be able to. The government doesn't actually own any land. It's all hers and that family's land. So the principle would be the same. It would be a constitutional monarchy or a constitutional empire. And yeah, have representative democracy, of course, for each fief of the empire. And but yeah, like strictly speaking, like it'd be feudalist, wouldn't it? On a level, it would. Like, because Britain is still feudalist. We have the House of Lords. We have an aristocracy. It's kind of faded into the background somewhat, and it's more It's less feudal now, but we still live in the shadow of feudalism to some extent, even though that shadow has receded to quite a great degree. Outer Space Treaty, okay. However, the state that launches a space object, such as a satellite or space station, retains jurisdiction and control over that object. By extension, the state is also liable for damage caused by its space object. Yeah, maybe that's why my claim to Saturn has actually gone missing. For some reason, because they put that Huygens probe on Titan. No. Took phenomenal pictures of its surface. Good ones. I like claim Venus on like, yeah, like, or Mars. Maybe Elon Musk has claimed Mars or something. King Elon. Oh, the Musks of Mars. At the Imperial Court. I think that, yeah, having representative bodies and democratic institutions, like a Supreme Court also, and a judicial system of some description, and yet institutions associated with the Jovian and Saturnine and Uranian and Neptunian moons. Yeah, a community of supranational organizations. They're not strictly governments, are they? Or are they the United Nations? And do we have one world government? United Nations looks suspiciously like a government. I mean, Ban Ki-moon is the president of the world. Grumpy little Asian fella. Surly, isn't he? I always prefer Kofi Annan. Any government. They mean individual government, don't they? It says celestial bodies, so it could be split up into territories controlled by a government. Could have said like explicitly forbids government from claiming a celestial body such as the moon or planet as its own territory. Yeah, you'd have to separate powers. That's all it. Yeah, that's all it causes us to do, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Supranational organizations to govern governments, which is their aim. Right, Outer Space Treaty. Loopholes. I'm gonna run out of battery soon. Let's put it on charge. Come on, you Noosa. Oh, you slow slag. Please hurry up. Yeah. English. Huh? Oh. Oh. outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation, or by any other means. An empire is not a nation. Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching. Love you.